It's time for some high-speed CAPTCHA bypass.
All right, let's see if PyAutoGUI can bypass a lot of CAPTCHAs. Here we go. Click, 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 click. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. Today on the Hacker Show, we're going to show you how to bypass CAPTCHAs using Python and a few advanced libraries to help you out. Get ready for some serious hacking. For this to work, you'll need to use two different repos, SeleniumBase and PyAutoGUI. SeleniumBase lets you control the browser, be stealthy, and detect the location of the CAPTCHA on the screen, whereas PyAutoGUI lets you control the mouse and the keyboard so that you can move the mouse over the CAPTCHA checkbox and then click it with SeleniumBase. And both of these packages you can find on the Python packaging index. So here's SeleniumBase there, and here's PyAutoGUI there. In order to install these packages, you could do a command such as pip install SeleniumBase, and that will install SeleniumBase. And then to install PyAutoGUI, you would do pip install PyAutoGUI. And with those commands run, you now have the libraries needed in order to perform the next actions for clicking on CAPTCHAs and bypassing them. So let's take a look at some of the code that's used here. So here we have a classic SeleniumBase format. First we'll import it from SeleniumBase import SB, and then here you'll have with SB use equals true, test equals true as SB, and it's using the Python context manager format. UC is a special stealth mode of SeleniumBase, undetected Chrome driver mode, and activate CDP mode here activates another stealth mode called CDP mode, which is even more stealthy because you can perform advanced stealth actions. And there's a nice method here, UC click CAPTCHA, which lets you click on a CAPTCHA. So let's just run that example to see where we're at, just one CAPTCHA at a time. Let's see, Python raw turnstile.py. It's going to spin up a browser. It's going to go to the turnstile page, and then PyAutoGUI is going to go and click on it. And if everything was successful, you'll see a success message. So if we go back to the code, you'll see it's actually quite simple. Now note that in some cases, you may want to add additional sleep time between activating CDP mode and clicking on a CAPTCHA if you're immediately going there. So you could do something such as sb.sleep, let's say 3 seconds to be safe, and then click the CAPTCHA, because sometimes there's a few seconds where it loads in the beginning, but it's hard to detect when the loading has completed, so just like add in the sleep there, and you're good. So that's using the classic SeleniumBase format to click on a CAPTCHA. There's also another format, SBCDP, which uses the pure Chrome DevTools protocol format without using WebDriver at all. And here's the syntax from that. Let's see, from SeleniumBase import SB underscore CDP, and then you'll do SB equals SB underscore CDP dot Chrome with the URL, and then you'll use a method sb.GUI-click-CAPTCHA. So it looks slightly different from what we used before, but it is a different format. And also, as before, sometimes you may want to add additional sleep time between loading the URL and clicking the CAPTCHA. So you could do sb.sleep, maybe 2 or 3, etc., and then do that. So let's run this example here. It should look a lot like the one we just ran. So we'll do Python raw cdp turnstile.py. We're going to get here, and then we're going to click the CAPTCHA, and if everything is good, you'll see a success message. So that is how that works. And then we can expand on that using multi-threading by using a different library. So we'll be using concurrent.futures, and inside there you'll see thread pool executor, which is used in order to spin up multiple threads in order for performing actions. So it uses a context manager format just like SeleniumBase does. So you can see here with thread pool executor, and then max workers equals a number. So here would be the length of the URLs, because I created a list of URLs which are identical, but it's basically the same URL 5 times. And then here as executor, and then for URL and URLs, then we do executor.submit with main, which is the main method right here, which has all that code, and then the URL that we're passing into it, because here it's main URL. And that's how you'll do multi-threading. So let's run that example. let's do Python raw multi CAPTCHA.py. All right, it's going to spin up 5 different browsers. Oh, they're all hiding underneath that window. That's funny. I'll do that one more time. Let's see. Hopefully it's not going to hide underneath the window at the beginning. 5 browsers are spinning up, and oh, there we go. You can see a few now. If I just click here, you can see all these different browsers. There we go. So that's essentially how the multi-threading works, using thread pool executor in order to get all those browsers spun up. So all the code for these examples you can find from the SeleniumBase GitHub repo. So if you go to github.com/seleniumbase/seleniumbase, you'll find that there is an examples folder, and inside that folder there will be a CDP mode folder with even more examples that you can run. So the 3 examples that I ran just now are all here. So for instance, you'll have raw turnstile. That was the first one I ran. Here it is right here. And then we had raw CDP turnstile. That's right here. And then we have the raw multi CD or raw multi CAPTCHA. Here we go. And then that's the example that we ran there. So all these examples you'll be able to find from the SeleniumBase GitHub repo. Also, it's on the Python packaging index. And also, fun fact, I got to meet the creator of Python GUI, Al Swigart, at PyCon, which is the International Python Developers Conference, where all the famous Python people around the world come to hang out, talk, give speeches, go to dinners, and lots of other things. So it's a fun event. So I got to meet Al Swigart there. So it's essentially combining SeleniumBase with Python GUI, which is what we were using for the examples that we saw there. So there's that. And all these examples, such as the one here where we're using multi-threading, that's all found from the SeleniumBase GitHub page. And there is a huge library there. So if you're wondering about the CDP mode methods, you can just scroll down to the CDP mode section where there will be instructions on what you need to do. And then there'll be various more advanced examples like here. And then if you scroll down, you'll see that there's a CDP mode API/methods. So all the methods that you'll want to use will be there. So if you want to know about clicking on CAPTCHA, so that's would be, I just search for click, there we go, UC GUI click CAPTCHA. I just do a search for that, you'll see the various places that it is, and here it is in the CDP mode methods list right here. So there's lots of other methods for, say, clicking, typing text in the text fields, drag and drop, just pretty much any type of browser action that you can think of. And some of these methods use Python GUI for the more advanced things where you may want to control the mouse and the keyboard to perform advanced actions. Lots of other examples. If you want to find other examples of CAPTCHAs, I think many of the other examples have that. So for instance, if we do Python raw GitLab.py, there's going to be a Cloudflare turnstile at the beginning, and then if it's not automatically bypassed, SeleniumBase will click on it. Sometimes the SeleniumBase stealth is advanced enough that it will bypass the CAPTCHA without the CAPTCHA forcing you to click on it, which is nice. So there's lots of various examples like that here. Let's see, so if we do like say Python raw indeed.py, there's going to be a Cloudflare CAPTCHA on this page, I believe. Let's find out. Oh, it's not making me click a CAPTCHA. Well, maybe we bypass that page entirely. Let's try a different one. That seemed, so this is just an example of scraping data from Indeed. Usually they have a CAPTCHA on it, but that time it was not even present, so maybe I bypassed it really quickly. Let's try a different example. Let's do Python raw glassdoor.py. That also usually has a CAPTCHA. There it is, Cloudflare turnstile, and it was automatically bypassed by SeleniumBase without even forcing Python GUI to click on it. So that's also convenient. There's a lot of stuff there, so sometimes you don't even need the advanced things like Python GUI to click on the CAPTCHA because the CAPTCHA will be automatically bypassed. But there's just a ton of various examples. Let's do one more. Python raw planetmc.py. There's usually a CAPTCHA here. Oh, there we go. Cloudflare turnstile, and it was automatically bypassed, and just for a bonus, PyDo-GUI went and tried to click it anyway in case it wasn't. But there you have it. So that is CAPTCHA bypass. All these examples can be found from the SeleniumBase GitHub page. These examples also can run in GitHub Actions because the stealth works there as well. And I have other YouTube videos where I'm essentially going into GitHub Actions and performing all these tests and like clicking through CAPTCHAs in there. So it's quite versatile. And there's a lot of documentation if you go to the GitHub page and see the README. So lots of various examples. You can use the framework for testing. You can use it for bypassing bot detection. You can use it for just general web scraping and automation purposes, etc. There's a lot that you can do, and there's just lots of examples, probably multiple examples in the examples folder, but for the stealth examples, be sure to check out the CDP Mode folder. And you'll just have tons of examples that you can try out there. So that's essentially high-speed CAPTCHA bypass, and of course the multiple CDP drivers. Oh, not that one. I think we wanted multi-CAPTCHA. There we go. I've got a bunch of different multi-threaded ones. But yeah, the key thing is that thread pool executor lets you handle the multi-threading. And also inside SeleniumBase, we use another Python library called FileLock, which basically handles the thread lock so that when PyDo-GUI has to click on maybe 5 different CAPTCHAs at the same time, thread locking works well so that only one CAPTCHA is clicked at one time because there's only one mouse pointer. So therefore, you gotta share the mouse pointer with all the different browsers that are there popped up from the automation for clicking on the CAPTCHAs, because you can only have PyDo-GUI click on one CAPTCHA at one time, but you can spread them out by like maybe a second each click, as you saw in the earlier example, so that you can click all of them without PyDo-GUI stepping on its own toes. So yeah, that is pretty much everything that we have for today's tutorial. There'll be a lot more exciting Selenium-based tutorials to come. I'm always creating new releases and adding new features, so be sure to check that out. There's also a Discord room. So if you're wondering about the link for that, there should be a link right here, SeleniumBase on Discord, and it'll show you the link there. So if you have questions, you can always open an issue here or a GitHub discussion, or go to Discord, where there's probably about 1,000 people or so around there right now on the Discord for SeleniumBase for that server. So lots of help when you need help, and lots of README files for when you have time to read something if you want to learn how to do it all. All right, well, that concludes today's presentation. I will see you all later. Have fun automating, everyone.